What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And man, we got one of my favorite guys on the podcast with us tonight. And gotta turn that off. And but man, we're gonna have today's gonna be a going to school lesson because every time Caleb comes on, we do have to have him talk a little bit about some map studies and transition, and and the bass have already made. I mean, they're already out
We're doing
doing
it.
their things, and excuse me, we're gonna have Caleb talk a little bit about it, but then we're wanting to talk about his fishing charter and all that, kind of promote him on his endeavors with the fishing charters as well. But guys, let's handle some business real quick. Uh, Tournament time. Live well is your lifeline. Fish Lung floods it with oxygen. Silent strong. No more drowning dreams from dawn to coaling to dusk bragging. Your haul still kicking, anglers crushing limits with it, zero downtime. Plug it in, power it up. Fish Lung, the edge that weighs the gold. Snag yours today at fishlung.com. And so, but with that being said, guys, I'm Colin Burnett.
I'm Pappy J, and I just want to go in there and reiterate this is one of my all time favorite times is when Dr. Caleb comes on the podcast and he breaks down the mapping. Man, I mean the best in the biz right here, best in the biz, and we appreciate you coming on the podcast again. And man,
Absolutely.
I just really love having you on the podcast, and because every time you break it down, it's just mind blowing to me. I mean, I love this stuff though, so.
Absolutely, man. Nerding out on that fishing. You got to love it.
Right, right. So, if people don't know, um, sh- uh, what was it that you were putting on your hands a while ago? Just go ahead and share
Oh,
what your
it's my
wife makes
wife,
there.
Becca's backyard. She keeps bees out in the backyard, and she makes a lotion bar product that I use on my hands when they're absolutely just destroyed. I'll show the camera there. I don't know if y'all can see all those cuts and that bass
Oh
palm
yeah,
out there and stuff. When you're smacking all those big fish and they're coming up angry like that, man, they're mean this time of year. Biting
yeah,
you and thrashing and going on. I'm just like, chill for a second. Like, I can't blame them. Did stick them in the face with a hook, but still, it's just mean.
right.
I'm telling you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen you with bass thumb though. I mean, I've known you
Oh,
for
it
what?
happens.
I
It
see.
happens.
I've we've been friends for what 8, 9 years or so,
Yeah,
and man, every time I go, I see old Caleb. I mean, it's just that palm's just chapped.
yeah, yeah. That's when you know you're catching when your buddy is texting you. Like, you catch them, all you got to do is send them a picture of that palm when it's out in the middle like that. You know, you got
Yeah,
the right ones on the end of the
Eh,
leash there.
yeah.
Yep,
You're like,
yep.
just say, what do you think?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, man, I want to talk to you about you know I talked to a guy with the TVA,
Yeah.
and I kind of want to tell you what he said because I'd asked him about like the current and he brought up spraying. He's like, man, we don't spray nothing besides what's navigable water, which we've already talked about that on the
Oh,
podcast.
yeah, yeah.
And but he was telling me, and I don't know if you had heard this, but he was like, because Chickamauga is at Summer Pool, and there is still 2 lakes or 3 lakes on the Tennessee River that is not at Summer Pool yet.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's what's wild right now is, so a little backstory on that. Chickamauga typically, it's typically full pool by the middle of April. That's the way it's been for
yeah,
dang near 100
years.
years, right? So
Yeah.
it's impounded in the 30s. Last year, in an effort to control vegetation, they decided to draw the lake up a month later, and that worked out just fine. Everything was hunky dory. This time we started to water up, and then all of a sudden, Mother Nature decided to give us 100-day drought or so. And
Yeah.
so everything just got, and it wasn't just a drought here, in our part of the valley, but on up above us. And there's some key bodies of water, which I'm sure they told you about when you think about Douglas and Norris and Appalachia. So, interesting backstory on that. I'm part of a black bass management panel for the state of Tennessee. We're trying to come up with management plans going forward for the state of Tennessee on all these public lakes to just basically help our fishing be a lot better and, have bigger and better fish for everybody to catch.
Right.
And part of that was working in conjunction, or is, I should say, with a TVA because, they are the ones that do a lot of management. So what we got to do with our last meeting, we got to tour the TVA war room up there in Knoxville. And it was absolutely unreal, man. Like you go in there and it looks like you're about to launch nuclear weapons or something. There's like 50 desks out here, imagine, and like each desk has like at least 4, maybe 5 monitors on it, crazy screens, and then on the wall in front of you, it's basically the size of like a movie theater with all kinds of screens with like satellite imagery, all kinds of like weather prediction data, precipitation prediction data, and you can see all of the Tennessee Valley lakes and what they're currently running and all the little in-between things and stuff like that. And it's all done remotely, and it's absolutely crazy. They can do the math on all this stuff. But that's turning into a big problem, is the fact that a lot of those lakes, the watersheds above us, have not gotten the flow, which is affecting our flow. My wife actually sent me something because I thought with the last rain before this one that we were like, we're going to get to full pull, no big deal. But if you guys remember, I guess that was maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We didn't make it there. And in fact, we backpedaled a little bit, which is exactly what she told me was going to happen. But I just could not believe it. I was like, no, we got water, rain north of us. But what happens is when you have a 100-day drought, that water soaks in like crazy. You don't get what we were talking about was the runoff. So even though we had good rain, our runoff levels were much below average, which ended up not allowing some of these upper reservoirs to get as much water, and then in turn we didn't get as much water. But what happens is even if you don't have it, you still have to run water, right? And the reason why is water quality issues. So if you are not running water through the Tennessee River, it'll stagnate. You'll get thermoclines, you'll get issues with drinking water for everybody. The whole thing has to be in motion. It's essential. And so that's one major reason why the water levels have been so interesting this year. And we still, we are technically like right at full pull right now. We're really close. Right. But we're not getting hardly any current. I was actually down below the dam today, and I think they probably ran like 13 or something.
Yeah, it was when we got out there, it was like 13.6, 13.7.
They dropped it 7 or 8.
And then it started like at, I think, 9 o'clock or something like that. It dropped down to like 11.2.
Yeah.
And when it dropped, I mean, anything that was on main channel, the bike that we had going, it totally just
gone.
Killed. Yeah. So I mean, and when it does that, it's time. We cut up about if there's no current, just put the boat back on the trailer and just go on home.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can still go catch fish, and you just got to do it in a different presentation wise. I mean, you got to go to back of these sloughs and stuff, and guys, I've learned all this from this gentleman that is on the podcast with us. I mean, because
that's an interesting point you just made, is that whenever you have runoff from rain, your major creek systems, they actually can generate more current and flow than the actual main body of water right now. Right. So that's a key thing, is to get around that motion that's in the creeks too. And we've talked about that before, but a lot of guys, when they think of, summertime, this time of year, ledge fishing, post spawn fishing, they think of fishing main lake on a river, the main river edge. But you got to think there are also original ledges from the original creek channels in the major creeks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those ledges can
Right.
be
Yeah.
absolutely key when you think of a low current situation. It can also be completely a botch waste of time, because what can happen if you're not getting enough flow in those areas, you'll have dead water. And
Yeah.
I get to see that firsthand with throwing the live bait. It's pretty interesting. You'll get on some of these areas and you'll look at them and you're like, man, those fish are set up weird. They're all suspended like 5 foot off the bottom. But they're close enough. You're like, heck, they'll follow it down and eat it. Well, you throw a live bait in there and it'll hit the bottom, and within about 20 seconds, it's dead, suffocated, because it's dead water down there. But if you get them on a split shot or free line them, they'll stay up above that dead water where the fish are at. And it's almost like a mini thermofine situation that'll happen in those areas.
Right.
But
Right.
talking about like the current, what's been interesting to me, because we're in uncharted territory, right? Since this lake was impounded in the 30s, there has never been a time that the lake was not full pool in June, period.
Right.
And so
Oh, wow.
there's all kinds of interesting issues that are happening right now, or situations. One, I've noticed fish setting up when they're running 7,000 beautifully on ledges whenever they want to. They will be stacked up just exactly like you could imagine them when they're running 44, 45K. And at other times, you'll pull out there and they are just scattered. You look out in the middle of the channel in every direction, and there's fish everywhere, 8 to 10 foot down, just kind of chilling, doing their thing, maybe
Yeah.
chasing some bait balls out there. So it's been odd to see how the fish have adapted to it, because they figure it out one way or another, right?
Right.
They know where they're
Yeah.
supposed to be. They know that things are not right, but they're figuring it out. And the bait's still coming through there. You're still seeing big bait pods. You're still seeing, one thing a lot of people don't know on ledges is that you'll see haze down on the bottom a lot of smaller fish, and it looks like at a glance it looks like gizzard shad, like maybe
Yeah.
dollar bill size gizzard shad that are down on the bottom. And you'll see it out on these main river ledges and most of the time like upper 20s, maybe 35, sometimes even 40 feet of water. And those aren't gizzard shad, they're bluegill. Bluegill are a deep water fish. And when they get out post spawn, they go really deep. And that's why those big flatheads and stuff follow them back out there. But a lot of really big bass, and that's my theory. So when you notice when a mayfly hatch happens, you'll notice that a lot of the big fish are not on the ledge anymore. You'll go up there and where you're normally seeing those big cruisers on scope and stuff like that, you're not seeing near as many. It's like there's literally 50% of them are gone. My theory is that they follow those bluegill to the bluff walls and stuff with that mayfly hatch.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, and it's funny that you said that about the mayflies. Is when was it, Caleb? 4 or 5 years ago that I was out and I ran into you on the water, and I was like, man, the bite yesterday, I was on some fish. I was tearing them up. I was catching good sized fish. And then, like, that day, like, I could not do, I mean, they did not want anything to do with any kind of bait. And you're like, look at your down imaging. And so, and I pulled it up, and I was, and I told them, we actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago about where you could actually see the mayflies coming up in the water column, and
you see the disturbance of the larva down there.
Right, and to me, I meant to take a picture of it this year, but I totally, work wise, kept me off the water during that time because I had went. And then the next time that I went, they were everywhere. So I was like,
well, the last few years, I tell you that. So this is an interesting thing. For the first time in my entire life in Tennessee, we actually had May flies.
Mm-hmm.
There was a small hatch that actually happened in May.
Yeah.
For the first time, it's always been either June or July flies. And historically, 4th of July was always the biggest hatch. And as years have gone on, the last about 6-7 years, I've noticed a lot more prevalent hatches, and sometimes the biggest hatch seems like it's more like the 3rd week of June now. Right. Sometimes even the 2nd week of June. But that's a big key. And fish, there's a gosh, I cannot remember the name of the podcast. I need to shout these guys out. I'll think of it here in a second, but they take a very scientific approach to a lot of these issues and talking about. They had a whole podcast they did about scent and how bass are able to smell, and a lot of the studies that are done around it. And I'm 100% convinced the bluegill and the bass and the catfish and everything else smells the larvae. You know how willowfly have a musk to them.
Yeah.
Like you get around a tree, you can smell them from a mile and a half away. And I'm convinced that they smell, they taste, they understand that something's going on, and a good percentage of the fish will vacate shell beds, they'll vacate ledges, they'll vacate any kind of a shad bite at all, and go and take advantage. I mean, these mayflies, everything eats them. I mean, how many times I've seen squirrels like laid upside down on a limb, sitting there plucking them like they're grapes. I mean, anything you can imagine eats mayflies, and so it's one of those nature's bounty situations, just like you see like a salmon run, in Alaska or something like that.
Well, and it's funny that you say that. I mean, because until you just said it, I mean, I really have not put two and two together. But there is like you could really smell, especially like if you come up over or come by like an overhang that is just full of them, you could smell it.
Oh yeah,
and I wonder. I guess if it's just because it's such a quick time frame that it happens, like, how come, like, Spike It or some other scent company has not made,
That's a good point. And I'm sure, like, if you looked it up, I'm sure that someone has.
Yeah.
It might be more of in a fly fishing situation, like as a paste that you apply to a dry fly. A lot of times those are scented, so I would bet that you could find something like that. But there is a very particular must to that, and I think that fish are keyed into that. I also think that's how bass find bluegill beds. Because I don't know if you old timers, you get in the boat with old timers and you're out there fishing for bluegill. They'll be like, I smell them. I know they're spawning over here. There is a smell in the water when bluegill have these big colonies and they're actively spawning, and it's interesting. It's like a sweet smell. And when you eat bluegill, if you've ever eaten bluegill or red ear or any kind of sunfish that's actively spawning, the meat has a sweet taste to it, just a little bit, like a twinge of sweeter taste. And people love that. I love that. I think it's some of the best eaten fish in fresh water. And that same smell, if you've ever eaten it, you taste it, you know the smell right off the bat. And so if you're going down the lake, you're like, wait a second. You get in a pocket, you're like, hey, something's going on here. You start going shallow and you look for them. I think that's how those bass find those things too, because it doesn't take any time at all.
No, and you're
in bluegill, and you'll have a bunch of big cruisers. Right now at Naked Jag, right around Marion County Park, there's some beautiful bluegill beds, and there's some great big fish cruising around them.
Yeah, I mean, I found some bluegill beds up right outside of Wolf Teaver. And then I tell you, that little pocket right before that, what is it? It's where the lighthouse, or the marina with the lighthouse, right there, just north of Chickamauga. Harbor Lights. Yeah, that little pocket up just south of it.
Yeah,
is full of some bluegill beds right now.
Yeah, what, Hobo Bluff, I think is what they call that.
Yeah. So,
but
I mean, because
that's some of the interesting things that are going on right now, right?
Yeah.
But here's that's not even the end of it. Like, there's some of the crazy things that I've seen. One, a fact about catfish. Okay, catfish, they spawn in holes and we go noodle for them, right?
Right.
All right, So they spawn in the same holes every year. So what do you think happens when the water's down way too long?
Oh, they can't get up in
They can't get in there. So they've been out pre-spawn. What happens, catfish, where they pull up pre-spawn, like that depth range, to feed real heavy, just like bass do in March. Like, they pull up and feed, right?
Yeah.
It just happens to coincide, like, exactly where the bass go post-spawn. And so every year you have this really narrow period of time where it's super irritating, and you catch literally, it's like almost 50-50 catfish to
Right.
bass. Or sometimes if you're lucky, it's 70% bass, 30% catfish. And they're
Right.
just mixed in together. Well, this has been the most irritating time ever because it's been prolonged for like 2.5 weeks
Yeah.
now. Like all these spots, like if you're around the bass, you are catching catfish too, whether you like it or not. And it's literally, it's like it's a 50-50 shot. When you
Yeah.
swing, it's like that's a good sized fish. Like it's either a channel or a blue. Like I hadn't seen the flatheads. I think a lot of the flatheads are at least pushed up close, but those daggum pre-spawn channel cats, they're so fat that normally I, pinch them behind the head like that to pick them up and toss them back in the water. They're so fat you can't even hardly get a hold of it.
Yeah.
Pinch them behind the head, but I mean it's just one after another, and I'm, just covered in slime. I look like a catfish
Oh,
guide or something like that.
yeah. The
So
deck.
whenever you're out there, and can you tell the difference on your scope when they're piled
So
up together like that?
it's very difficult when they are sucked down to the bottom. You would
Okay.
really have to, and you can do it if you're fishing artificial and you're actually scoping. When I think of scoping in context of like what you see a lot of professional anglers doing nowadays, where you're
Right.
actively casting and engaging with your bait all the way in. There's a certain swagger that a bass has, and there's a swagger that a catfish has. Catfish, it's way more pronounced. Kind of like the difference between a threadfin swimming and a gizzard shad swimming. It's the same situation. It looks like a tadpole on the screen. But the problem is
Mm.
they do the same thing that bass do. They have a personal space bubble of about 3 foot around each other, just like bass do. They don't really stack on
Mm.
top of each other, just like bass do most of the time. And they happen to be mixed in with the bass. And so
Yeah.
you can
Right.
imagine in a field of 50 fish, you just know that there's bass there. And you know that
Yeah.
there's
Right.
catfish there. And the only thing I know to do is just fish, and so
Right.
like you just
Yeah. You got to
they're
weed
they're
through
really
them.
tight together. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's kind of been my strategy lately is okay, let's go get 100 bites.
Yeah.
If I get 100 bites, I know I'm gonna have 5 big ones, or
Yeah.
a couple
Mhm.
real big ones and 5 to 10 good ones. But that's literally it. That's all I know to do right now because it's very interesting. Now you can get away from that. Like that's my strategy because I fish a lot of community holes when I'm live bait fishing. I try not to mess with a lot of these smaller areas. I try not to mess with like mid depth brush or small schools. Some of those schools are mostly bass, like pretty much completely bass. And a lot of the trees on them, I've got crappie and bass on them. There's not very many catfish there. Some of the little schools that I found on like road beds and mid depth area are a lot more bass in there. But when I'm live bait fishing, I don't mess with those because it just makes it tougher on everybody else to catch them.
Yeah. Now I tell you, I'm glad that the water has come up on Chickamauga because I've been able to fish in one of my favorite areas, and I've been able to fish some cypress trees. And if you're from Chickamauga, you know where I'm talking
Only a
about. And
few areas.
um, I I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but I've enjoyed fishing just cypress knees and the stumps and stuff like that. It always seems to you always have like I mean you're going to catch fish around them,
Yeah,
but I've always tend to catch but little better than average size for me. I mean
yeah.
from what I'm thinking,
That area of the river tends to have a better average size fish in general, what I've
yeah,
noticed too. But
yeah,
I've heard somebody was telling me that there was somebody got on a really good bite on chick on some pads. And it makes sense to me. There's a few areas on this lake that have good size lily pads, but typically in years past, there's not enough water on them at all.
yeah,
And the interesting thing that's happened when you delay a drawdown, what happens is one, you don't get as much current, right? And if you're
yeah,
not getting
Mhm.
current and you're not getting rain, that equals one thing, that's cleaner water. When you have cleaner water, you get light penetration. When you get light penetration, you get a quicker growth on your vegetation. And
yeah,
so it's kind of helped out. Think of it as like the reverse of the drawdown in the fall. and
Yeah.
where you start to expose newer areas of grass. And if it's still warm enough, those areas of grass will flourish as the drawdown happens. We've done this in reverse now. So we've enabled the emergent grass to get a much better head start deeper than it normally would. And then the water's pushing into it. So I can almost guarantee you that some of these pad areas, there's been pad stems that have grown out 20 foot further than they normally do.
Right.
And then the water came up into them. And so, for once, we actually have a good bite where that comes. I'd say you'd probably see the same thing on some of the reed areas. I know that I was chomping at the bits with all the yellow flower we had this year. I didn't really get to mess with it as much. I had a couple days where I threw a hollow body in it, caught some fish.
Yeah.
But when you get water that pushes up into yellow flower like that, it draws every sunfish in the area, every golden shiner. There's so many bugs that get in that yellow flower.
Have you fished up past Armstrong Ferry much here of late?
No, I'm actually thinking about heading up that way tomorrow, so I'm gonna see. I'm gonna check it out.
I wonder, because you remember that. I'm trying to not give it away for people who may not know about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But you remember where we had went and there was like 300 yards of lily pads.
Yeah, yeah. In backpacker.
Yeah, yeah. So I wonder. I mean, because that water's not with it now being summer pool.
Yeah.
It may hold something, and especially, and I didn't think nothing about it, but because I have seen grass in places in which and everybody knows, that. I mean, the grass don't grow up in the same spot especially on the main channel. It usually kind of scatters around, but I have seen grass growing in places that I have not seen grass in a while growing
same here.
And so,
but now I'm seeing a lot of spray boats. I'm seeing like 5 spray boats a day out there too. And for those that, I guess, to backtrack to a previous conversation, like you said, Colin, the TVA and TWRA are not the ones out there spraying that grass. That's independent contractors, and most of that is private. Now, there's some weird regulations in the state of Tennessee where homeowners can spray stuff they can draw outside the lines, let's put it that way. They don't have to spray necessarily next to their dock. So if a neighborhood association gets together and they're like, hey, I don't really like that flat out there, on the way to my spot where we're going to party on the weekend, they can just nuke it.
Yep.
Which is absolutely insane to me. And here's why. Like, imagine you live in a neighborhood and we're on a cul-de-sac. Your house is across from mine. His house is over here. And one day I got my lawn care guy over there. I'm like, can I tell you what? Let me just pay you. I want you to round up his whole yard.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? Like, to be able to spray indiscriminately on a public body of water that everyone, pays to access.
Yeah.
And it affects everyone as well. It is a public waterway managed wonderfully by TVA, and there's current legislation. We're gonna have to get like a super PAC together or something to fix some of this, because it makes no sense. It really doesn't make any sense at all. Like, you should not be able to have a dock on the low end of the lake and decide to spray in front of Paradise Cove.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that makes zero sense.
Well,
Like, I get it. Like, you can spray and control grass immediately, within 50 foot of your dock so that your kids have a swimming area. Or you get a permit to spray a lane out of a flat, right? Or to mow it or chop it or whatever, so that everyone who has docks on this flat that has grass on it have a good access point to get back to the main river. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But
to be able to just annihilate an entire
yeah, I mean, it's crazy, in which there's John Pate is in, which he's from South Florida, in which we've had many conversations about, this is the same thing that Florida's going through as well.
Yeah. Guntersville, Alabama's going to be going through it here too because of some legislation that's passed there if they tolerate it. Because back in the the 80s, whenever they were trying to spray on Guntersville, there was an entire armada of bass boats that went out there and formed a chain across the entire river and would not let them pass.
Really?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So what you're saying is that they can take that same Roundup
Mm-hmm.
and kill and spray it in the lake. Well, wouldn't that be polluting the water systems? And isn't that against the
So
law?
this is the interesting thing. Again, due to legislation, whatever they're spraying has to be within certain parameters. So it has to be. It's kind of like when you eat applesauce, it's got arsenic in it. There's
Mm-hmm.
acceptable parameters of poisoning yourself. And so that's the deal. But here's the issue is that a lot of times these guys are not paid by the job. They're paid by the amount of product they spray.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you get done with the job and you still got 10 gallons of product, what's to say you don't spray a little more in that area? What's to say you don't
Right.
mix it a little hot, right?
Well, and the thing is, and I think you said it last time that you came on. What's if they say, let's just say they got 1,000 gallons of spray.
Yeah.
Well, they're thinking, well, let's. I want to be able to make more money next year. Let's spray one whole area and then and then say, well, next year I'm going to need 1,500.
Yeah.
And so they're
They've
making
been
sure
caught
that
doing that in Florida, I believe. That
yeah,
there were subcontractors that were caught doing that because, again, like you said, you don't want to lose your budget, right?
right,
But what ends up happening is because of the incentive to spray more and spray more, what you end up doing is you spray yourself out of house and home.
yep,
So you end up with a situation where you spray it until you nuke it completely. And then it's like, okay, then I'll take my out of town operation and go pick on another lake. And
yep,
that's basically what these guys are doing. I mean, it kind of reminds me of storm chasing contracting companies, and some of those guys are great. I mean, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them are like fly by nighters and they won't stand behind any of their work, right? Like I was
right,
there for
Mm-hmm.
2 years, I did all this stuff, and then I'm gone. I'm
yep,
out at the next storm somewhere else, and so it's like, so you call them up, it's like it's your problem. And
yep.
I tell
Now,
them that.
have you seen with this? Like, have you seen like an invasive grass come in to the Tennessee River?
Well, I mean, hydrilla is an invasive,
Right.
but it's classified as not a danger. It's actually classified as a help. Um, so and there's also there is grass management is important.
Right.
You can't choke out areas. There's certain amounts of coverage that are considered really good for a fishery, and once you get beyond a certain amount of coverage, it can start to be detrimental in the way because there's less usable water. That's the
Yeah.
only way. But by and large, when you have vegetation, what you have there is an entire ecosystem, and it's what makes it so important is because it's the very start of life on that river system, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think all the eggs go when they go to larva stage and they're before they're even considered fry? That is a perfect place for them to be. All your crawfish in larva stage, as they
Yeah.
grow up, it gives them a place to hide. It gives them a place to grow up, and that's why you see such strong recruitment levels on bodies of water like Nickajack and Gunnersville. Just the sheer number of fish and the way that they're. Also, another awesome thing about grass is it spreads fish out throughout the fishery. So
Yeah.
instead of a lake fishing small, Chickamauga fishes small this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
The 30 spots a tournament's going to get one on, right?
Yeah.
Every time. And there might be a couple off the wall secret holes that only 35 or 40 people know about. And, that you're going to go over there. But by and large, I mean, I bet a lot of the guys here that are absolute hammers, if you sat them down and it was like, hey, can you think of 100 spots that you can catch a fish on Chickamauga right now and win a tournament? it'd be difficult for them to come up with that.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Now, the guys that have brush and stuff like that, let's just say not that. I'm thinking just schools, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm not thinking springs. I'm not thinking anything like that. I'm thinking just schools. Difficult, very
Yeah.
difficult. Whereas if you get on a lake like Gunnersville, you'll get on the main ledge area, but if you go every 50 to 100 yards that you go down a ledge, there's another school.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens on Nickajack a lot. It spreads the fish out. And to me, that makes for a much better fishery because, come the weekend when everybody's out there, there's a lot of pressure on the lake. you know, grandson and Papaw can get out there. Maybe they got out a little bit late and all the ledge spots are took up, but they can slide down a little bit and start catching fish.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the mark of a good fishery is that everyone has a good opportunity to catch fish, and you got a good average size, and they're catchable.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of these lakes, like Chickamauga, is a great example. I'm kind of picking on Chickamauga right now, but with our lack of vegetation and things that we've been experiencing over the last few years, it really makes the fish predictable on where they're going to be. And electronics are so good now, and everybody's good. Like a lot of these anglers, the level of knowledge that anglers have now on how to fish offshore is way up there compared to what it used to be. And just the percentage of people that can or want to fish offshore is much higher as well. And so that you can hit any fish on Chickamauga in the head right now. There ain't nowhere for them to hide.
No.
I mean, there's no grass and stuff. What's cool about like a grass lake, especially lakes that have deeper eelgrass or deeper hydrilla, is that you'll get in an area and you'll fish through there and you won't even know that there's fish there until you make a cast, and then that school comes up out of the grass. So it forces people to go and fish for them and find them that way. And I just think it makes for a much more enjoyable fishery for everyone as far as just the sheer number of fish, catchability, and just everything. I mean, another good example as TWRA. I talked to them when they were doing their surveys. This has been 2 years ago, and one of those guys just told me flat out, according to their surveys, Nickajack had more bass per square mile than any lake in the state of Tennessee.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Best grass of just about any lake in the state of Tennessee. That kind of
Yeah.
tells you something right off the bat, right there. And Gunnersville is pretty much the same way. You just get it really gives that young of the year, that the offspring and that smaller stuff a chance.
Yeah. I mean, because they can still. I mean, they're still able to. That's giving them cover to ambush and be able to get the shad or whatever that they're going after, and they're able to thrive. I mean, and that you hit it the nail on the head. I mean, Nickajack with that, I mean, is probably as bad as I hate to say it. I mean, it's probably fishing is probably one of the best lakes in Tennessee fishing at the moment right now.
I think it's the best lake on the Tennessee River, maybe apart from Gunnersville.
Yeah. And so,
now I'll tell you one thing: there's a sleeper out there now that we haven't talked about in a long time. That's Watts Bar.
Yeah, and
Watts
that's
Bar has a lot of grass right now in the last couple of years, and it's been pumping out some giant ones. I'm really looking forward to getting up there and playing around with those fish again. It's been the last time I was on Watts Bar is almost 6 years ago.
Yeah, and I know they had.
There's no point, It's like, why am I going to drive? Because when I fish upriver. I'm like, if I'm going to drive 2 hours, I'm going to drive to Dale Hollow.
Right.
I'm not driving to Kingston to go fish around the Clinch or something like that. But
I mean,
the amount of double digits getting caught out of there right now is pretty phenomenal. I'm very happy with the state of Tennessee. And I don't know if you guys noticed this. Did you guys notice the weights on Loudon on the Bassmaster Classic compared to the last Classic?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were dropping bags compared to
Yeah.
last classic. That really tells you that we're on the right track on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because it was literally 3 years apart from each other. And pretty much, and it was on the same week.
Yep.
I mean, almost year to date from when it was there 3 years ago, and they pretty much had the same. Besides that, I mean, what was it when it was that 3 years ago? They had, I think it was like low 30s or something like that is when they start what the temp was.
Yeah.
And it never, I mean, we did have a little bit warmer weather,
Yeah.
but I mean, when the first day people were, I mean, they were driving, I mean, they were going down river. I think one guy, Trey McKinney, what was it, Pappy? He said that he was going to an hour and a half.
It's going to have. Well, was that what he was the one who said that he was going to have to get gas on the way back?
Yeah, he was going to have to stop and get gas on the way back. He was, and but then it was kind of interesting that you towards the end of the classic, like you seen more of them kind of shift up because they were catching fish and better quality fish, and even so. I mean,
it's just that whole fishery, and the classic is one example, but just tournament weights over there, and I get a lot of clients that are local to that area. It's just really impressive to see the changes on that lake, and Watts Bar. I mean, yeah, there was a 14-pounder caught on the jerkbait on Watts Bar last year, and there's some dude weighed in at 12 something like a couple weeks ago in a Monday nighter or Wednesday night, whatever nighter tournament they've got.
Yeah.
And I know that's two of about a dozen double digits that I know of that have come out of there in about the last 16 months or so.
Yeah. Well, and you say that. I know what was it? It wasn't too long ago that I seen somebody. It was almost a 4-pound crappie. It was like high threes.
Yeah, that was my buddy Anthony Mondo.
Yeah. And so
he called a Donkosaurus over there.
And so I mean,
it's really impressive to see, and I think that's when we talk, Alex Rudd's part of that panel. Hot Defoe is part of the panel, so they get to go hang out with him. And it's been really neat to get to actually meet the guys that put this together as far as management plans and how much thought goes into it. And they really take the decisions seriously. But it's one of those things, it's easy to not see the results. We were wondering for Watts Bar, it's like, what's taking so long? Why are we not seeing, the benefits of stocking Florida strains there as much? And it just takes time. It's so hard to wait, but it's just what happened on Chickamauga. It's like when it popped off, it was like, we've been stocking Florida strains for 15, 18 years and nothing's really happening. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's happening now. Okay. And so,
so do you think that has to do more with
is to get to the point where, in my mind, it's to get to the point where every lake is a destination lake.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had just as good a shot at catching a 10-pounder on Chickamauga as you did on Nickajack or Watts Bar or Loudon. And what that does, it just makes it better for everyone. We're having more anglers since 2020. Our amount of anglers, new anglers every year is going up, which is great. There's more people entering the sport, but due to that, we've kind of gotten a situation now where it's like we have to think preemptively about management practices and making sure that we stay ahead of the curve as far as that goes. And I think a lot of states are doing really well with that, and I think everyone just needs to really buckle down, because at the end of the day, it's like it shouldn't be a game where the only guys that can catch fish have a $150,000 bass boat, all the electronics in the world, and it's still tough on them to catch fish. Like, to me, the mark of a good lake is that, some kid can pop out there on a piece of styrofoam if he wants to, or fish off the bank with whatever plastic worm and catch a good fish and have a good shot at a giant fish as well. That's the goal, right? Like, you want it to be recreation to be really fun for everyone. You want everyone to be included in, the opportunity at big fish and lots of fish and getting multiple bites and stuff like that. And it boils down to a lot of specifics, and that's kind of the goal. Very, very happy to be part of that. And
Well,
I'm
and
proud of the plan that these guys have come together. So drafts will come out pretty soon, and we'll be able to go public with some of the final drafts. But I'm very excited. It's not going to be overnight,
yeah,
but I think you're going to see some really special things happen in the state of Tennessee within the next 10 years.
yeah, and the thing is, what I really like is like even like the kayak fishermen and stuff. Like, I mean, they don't do nothing with weight wise, but the Tennessee River wise, when they go, they have tournaments on the Tennessee River. Like, it's nothing for you to go and, like, if you're following them, to see 130, 140 inches in a tournament
Yeah,
span.
crazy.
And so, uh, I mean, it is. I think it is crazy to see, but I'm excited just because I want everybody, and which we've talked about this. We want everybody to be able to be able to go out and enjoy their time, and and go catch some fish, and
Talk
what do what
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
and so like they I mean, because what's Caleb's PB is definitely not my PB, and not uh, and not Pappy's PB. But I mean, a fish that will break Pappy's PB. I mean, Caleb. I mean, it's crazy to see just like people getting out there and seeing them get excited about and I'm
That's
glad
what
that
I love.
people, yeah. And when you come, I mean, it used to be to where you'd go into, like, let's just say for instance Chester Frost or Harrison Bay. You're going to see, if the boat ramp is full, you're probably going to see 15, 20 plates on the truck that are out of state.
Yeah.
And I like
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that number is starting to dwindle a little bit,
Yeah.
because you do have Watts Bar that is popping off, and I think the Classic kind of showed that off. And but then when MLF went and the Bass Pro Tour went down on Nickajack, that was kind of the demise, and I hated that, because we all called it. I mean, all the locals and stuff that fished Nickajack, we called it the hidden gem, because
Yeah.
you could go out there anytime. You didn't have much uh, fishing pressure and stuff like that, and so it was definitely a fun lake, and which it still is. I mean, but
And see, that's the goal, though, right? Like, we
yeah,
want to get to the point in the state of Tennessee where it is a destination for outdoorsmen.
yeah,
Right? We want
Mm-hmm.
people coming in, and we want people stimulating the local economy and just making, basically, we're about to talk about what's going on in Oregon. It's like we want
yeah,
fishing and hunting to be just an absolute essential part of our economy locally, because it gives you a lot of strength to your arguments. If you go to the table legislating, the changes to the way that grass can be managed on TVA reservoirs, imagine how much more weight you would carry with your voice if it was a $5 billion net revenue to our local economy versus $2 million or $1 million. You know what I mean? It's like
right, right.
that's what really speaks a lot of times in these situations. Is money talks. It's just the way it is.
And so since you kind of, let's get the ball rolling on that. I mean, if you don't know, guys, like Oregon, yeah, I mean, they're in November. They've got, it's already, they're voting on to make it illegal to fish, hunt, and farm anything that has to do with in a farm. So like uh, Caleb and
Trapping.
and trapping. And Caleb's wife, she has a phenomenal garden. I see, like,
Yep.
see pictures and stuff, and I mean, and y'all, a lot of y'all's vegetables and stuff comes from y'all's garden, correct?
Yeah, and then you got the bees out there, chickens and ducks. That's where all our eggs come from. And I think I noticed on that article or whatever that you wouldn't even be able to eat the eggs from your chickens or something like
No,
that. Pretty
like
wild.
so. So with that being said, it's you cannot fish, you cannot hunt, and so well then how else you gonna get any kind of food source on your own besides having to go? I mean, how
That's a
are they gonna
terrifying proposition.
right?
If you
So
think outside of the box, we're outdoorsmen. We do this for purely the love of the game, right?
right,
But think about the power and control that you have over someone if you have complete, authority over the food supply.
yeah,
Think about, let's just think about the farming aspect. Let's just take fishing out of the equation right now. Think
yeah,
about um, the ability to grow what you need to grow, the ability to, you know, there's a lot that goes into growing. My wife could explain a lot of this to you, but being able to work the ground in a way and plant crops and rotate crops in order to have a really good result is very important. It's very important to all of your other your pollinators. About the worst thing that we have in America for the environment is the grass that we have in our yards. If everyone just let
yeah,
the yards have clover and just whatever in there, whatever's native, it would be much better for our local the ecology of what's going
right,
on around us. So there's massive issues just right off the bat, just with the farming aspect of it. That's
right,
like a level of terrifying handmaiden's tale level of control type stuff. That's like that's really bad.
yeah.
But
Well, so, but what would let's say let's say it does pass, right? What is it? What is Oregon wildlife wise? What is it going to look like in 5 years, 10 years?
Oh my
I
gosh,
mean,
dude.
it's going to just be
Well,
over.
there's going you can't manage it. I mean, the wildlife will take over. They think the bottom line
you would
is
have to
if
let
there's
it.
not some kind of management to
Yeah,
manage these animals, it'll literally be a takeover. I mean, they'll
Well,
okay, so you
see,
got
that's
some
how it
farmers
works.
out there. Yeah, I mean, you got farmers out there that's trying to grow some corn or whatever. Well, guess what? Deer like it, rabbit like it. I mean,
yeah,
and if you don't have some kind of way to manage all of that, then you're not going to have any kind of way of. Uh, I mean, your food source is going to be scarce.
yeah,
Because these people want to not
And
have a management.
that's the thing. So like, I always push back against that argument because it'll manage itself one way or another. You might not like the way you see it managed, though, right? You
Mhm.
yeah,
might see a massive outbreak of stuff like EHD, blue tongue, um, and
Yep.
you have like if it gets overpopulated, it will manage itself. At that point, you would also have to allow a lot of predators back that we our ancestors
Exactly.
killed out for a reason there, for
Mhm.
livestock and for safety and all that stuff. But you would have to allow everything to take over. Like if you took everyone out of Oregon for 20 years, it would manage itself.
yeah,
But you go back to Lee from Seat One. He had a really good saying, when he was talking about one of the really big bucks that he had shot, and he was like, I was really happy. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not going to say word for word what he said, but basically what he had said was, I'm really happy I was able to take this animal. He had a long-standing relationship with it. With trail camera pictures and stuff for years, and he was like, I'm really glad that I was able to, dispatch him so humanely and so well right now at the end of his lifespan, so that he didn't have to go through a winter and starve to death. Because like that's the thing, Mother Nature is brutal.
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
when come to the end of your time out there, it's a brutal, brutal thing. Um, so then you go back and forth like, well, is what I'm doing here, that's a pretty decent argument. It's like, well, is what I'm doing here by harvesting this animal and using it, you know what I mean, to feed myself, my family, and stuff like that. Is that more humane? Let's put it in the terms there. Than allowing it to, get to the age. You don't want to grow old as an animal. You know what I mean? Like it's not a pleasant end most of the time. So I don't know. It's just like an interesting concept there. I don't understand it because it's such. From my perspective, it's really. I almost wish we had somebody on here right now that could be like a really good devil's advocate that had a different perspective than I do, because it's outdoors, and being an outdoorsman is so ingrained into my
Right.
blood, soul, everything you can imagine, that I cannot imagine not going out there and doing that.
Well, how?
And
I
I
mean,
can't
but
imagine in my head how what I'm doing is less
harmful.
humane
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
cruel than, like, when I get bent out of shape when I'm watching National Geographic and it's like some little animal out there is getting eaten. I'm like, what the hell are y'all camera crews doing? Like, get
Yeah.
over there, let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
But
I get like bent out of shape on that. I'm like, it's killing that thing. Go on now, what kind of unit it is? Like, it makes
Yeah.
no sense to me. So
but I
And
mean,
I don't know.
but is there? I mean, the best people that's out there that's taking care of the wildlife and these fisheries and stuff like that are the guys that are out there hunting and out there fishing, because
Yeah,
I mean, they're not just going. I mean, yeah, there's some bad eggs out there, I mean, that's going out there and just catching and hunting or whatever that
yeah.
walks by, they're shooting. Yeah,
There's
but
always outliers. There's
right.
always.
But for the most part, I've been on the boat with you, no telling how many times, and we have hooked fish that bled like a stuck hog, and I have seen you
Yeah,
put your rod down, stop, take care of that fish, put it in the live well, and make sure by the time you're ready to release, it's ready to go. You're
yeah.
not. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna
the
put him
fish
in with
care.
a fish lung there, and we're gonna get
Yeah.
him revived back. That's the reason, stewardship and sportsmen in general have spearheaded stewardship of the resource that we have in
All right.
national parks and wildlife. I mean, we take it very seriously, I think, by and large. Now, like you said, there's always outliers.
Yeah.
But by and large, it's like we absolutely love it, and we want to take care of the resources. I mean, I use barbless circle hooks when I'm
Yeah.
fishing out there, and so it's like the whole point is for that fish to go down there and live another day. Like obviously you're going to kill fish and stuff like that. That's going to happen, but nothing goes to waste.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one thing that happens quite a bit is you'll have white bass that'll swallow the hook. They tend to do a lift bite, so kind of similar to a spotted bass. A
Yeah.
lot of times clients don't see it right off the bat. If I'm not paying attention to bite detect, then we might deep hook a white bass. But as soon as it goes down, it might float back up, and you're like, oh, dang it, he didn't make it. Well, within 2 minutes, an osprey
I was
or a
about to say,
herring,
how often have you seen an osprey just?
I never see him get out of sight. And so it's like, in my mind, it doesn't even hurt my feelings, because I'm like, well, I just fed that osprey for the day. I'm seeing
Yeah.
more pairs of ospreys and eagles across Chickamauga Lake than I ever have growing up.
Oh man, it's
And I'm like, I'm a part of nature myself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
they're taking care of the byproduct of what I'm doing right now. And I think that's the coolest thing as a steward. I think that we should live within the environment that we have and do our best to, I guess, have a positive impact, not
Yeah.
no impact, but a positive overall impact on it, and to just be really good stewards of, what's been given to us down here, this beautiful planet that we have, and, the the deer and the fish and stuff that we get to chase out through here. And it's just, I love it. You know what I mean? Like, I love those animals. I love those fish.
Well,
And
that's me. That's where I'm at. I mean, whether I'm on a boat, a bank, or in a tree, I'm gonna respect what's being given to me,
yeah,
and that's the opportunity to go out and to enjoy nature at its finest. I can't tell you how many times that I've just been out in the woods, and I mean, I might see deer, but that don't necessarily mean I'm gonna take them. You know,
yeah. There's so many
I
times I
take
just want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, and one of my favorite times is in the morning time when the woods are waking up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You got the squirrels squawking and the birds chirping, and you got mama deer with a set of twins coming through, and I enjoy those moments.
yeah,
It's I don't know, dude. I'm like you. I really respect what nature has to offer to us, and I understand that there's some things that we got to take out of a herd or whatever it may be, just to keep everything flowing. But
yeah,
I think you're right. If we can pass on that stuff and be good teachers and stewards, and then then I feel like then everything will just kind of come in coincide.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
it's just like the love of the game,
well,
love of the game.
what we grew up with was our parents, our grandparents telling us, "Hey, we want fish. We take care of the fish to be able to where our grandkids will be able to have a fishery," and that just keeps on going. And like then it's like, well, we want our great grandkids, and we want everybody like
and
our
that's why
family.
outdoorsmen spearhead
Yeah,
conservation at such a high level because
Hmm.
I think that we love it so much that it is entirely unacceptable to us that our posterity would not have a chance at it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of times outdoorsmen spearhead a lot of these efforts to slow progress in other ways to make sure that these areas are preserved, as best they possibly can. I mean, I can't imagine what the world would be like without that. But maybe there's people on the other side of this too that have the same ideals as far as like uh, preserving the beautiful places in the world. Let's put it that way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Like I'm sure that um, someone on the other side of the aisle on this issue, let's say, would probably like we could come meet in the middle on national parks. Like national parks are awesome. Like any
Hmm.
kind of development around national parks is just idiotic, right? We
right,
want to keep those beautiful, beautiful untouched places. I think of what the it's just I think a lot of people are just raised different. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And I think that I'm always trying to. I see what they're talking about here, and I'm like, that makes no sense to me at all.
yeah,
But then it also, in the back of my mind, I'm like, so where's my blind spot? What am
Yeah,
I
yeah.
not thinking about? We live in such a black and white society now, as far as just like it's Republican, Democrat, it's this, it's this. It's like we have these ideological lines that we draw in the sand, and I
Hmm.
think that we all need to be more thoughtful as far as being whatever you call it. We got to meet in the middle on some stuff. You know what I mean? Like
right,
I think
Yeah.
it's really important to give people the time of day and to understand where they're coming at. Because if you don't do that, you can't ever really win somebody back over to a cause, right? Like how are you going to
yeah,
convince somebody of your argument by just calling them an idiot?
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's my knee jerk
Yeah.
reaction when I read that bill. I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
not going to help anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, trying to understand where other people are coming from that are raised different, in their mind, they might be thinking about like their pet. Like, why would I shoot my dog, before
yeah,
they're so old that I have to put them down?
yeah,
Like who knows? I don't know. I
and
can't speak to the thoughts in their head and stuff like that. But I think it's always important. I mean, even if you're just thinking it from a perspective of how am I going to argue my point on here, you really have to, you know think from the perspective of the other person. Sometimes that'll light you up too. You might open your eyes up.
Yeah.
You know,
It'd
and
be interesting to
certain things
see
from a different
where that
perspective.
bill got started.
Yeah. So what caused? Is
Yeah.
there a major ecological issue caused by something that's going on hunting or fishing wise there? Are we wiping out a salmon run, or so there's got to be some kind of problem in my mind that kicked this whole thing off. So in my mind
Yeah.
also I'm thinking, well, there might be an actual problem at the root of this. They're not going to try to solve this problem the way I would, but I need to acknowledge that so that we can move forward and meet in the
Yeah.
middle. Because I mean, we're in a free country. We all have rights. We all have a voice, and I think that's like one of the best things out there. And
Yeah.
so, I've more and more as I've gotten older and trying to teach my kids and stuff. It's like I really want them to be able to think from both sides of any issue, and it's just a good way to work. It's a great exercise to work through um, differences, right?
Yeah. Well, and
Like,
if they can, because again, like from our perspective, like our mindset and how we were raised, I
yeah,
mean, we grew up in the outdoors doing things, hunting, fishing, camping, whatever in the outdoors. And to us, we don't see life happening, I mean, without having the outdoors
yeah,
in our life somewhere. And to see that a state is saying no more, no
yeah,
more. We're wanting to pass a law that says no. And so I hope to goodness that I mean, I read somewhere that it was a 1.2 billion dollar that it's going to cost them one 1.2 billion dollars is what they make
there's probably
annually off.
yeah, every year, what, to their GDP probably.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So that's
and
a
so
major that's a major economic impact. And so it's like, so what is their argument to make up that deficit? I mean, there's got to be something, right? I wish I would have had more time to try to look up.
yeah, I meant to send that to you earlier,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and
the stuff that I read earlier was more related to my own opinions, which is something I try to read outside that as well.
right,
But I'm curious to see if there is more of like the whole story, or maybe there is, maybe there's not.
yeah,
I mean, I think about it. Think about this. So you're scrolling down Facebook, you see this, video pop up, and it's this huge buck right there. It's Lee. Let's say it's Lee from Seek One, right? It's a good big old buck right there. It's a short. He pulls back on the bow, makes this perfect shot. Blood squirts everywhere. You're like, dang, double lung, and he clipped the top of the heart. This is perfect. In my mind, I'm like, that was amazing. That's exactly where you want to hit an animal. That thing got
didn't
too
suffer.
pressed before he even knew what was going on. Like, he got
Yeah,
struck by lightning, was trying to figure out what's going on, and he was gone. And I was like, that's perfect. It's going to
yeah,
be perfect meat. There's going to be no stress, that's going to cause that meat to be tough or gamey or anything. That's amazing. And someone who grew up, not doing what we do, they see that and they're like, "Oh my God, that's freaking
that's
horrific."
brutal. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
completely different perspectives, right? Like, if you didn't grow up doing what we grew up doing, I'm sure you look at that and you're like, "Good God, like why did someone record that?"
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we think, when was it, Caleb, that YouTube wise, I mean, we had quite a few buddies YouTube wise that hunted and posted videos and made content that YouTube said no more hunting. They pretty
Yeah.
much lost the channel because
Yeah.
of that.
And now that,
And
that did switch back around, but it was an argument that went up there, and it got to the point where it's like they had to be careful of the amount of blood that they were showing, which I get that in one way. You know what I mean? Like, if there's kids like scrolling down through there,
but
I'm
how
sure
much
a lot of
blood do
people
they
would want
see
to
on
see like
TV
a bunch
nowadays?
of like gory blood or something like that. I kind of get that, but
Yeah,
again, from my perspective, growing up, it's so commonplace. Like,
yeah,
It's like when I see a deer that's got, bubble gum running out of its nose and stuff like that, I'm like,
Mhm.
dang, double lung hit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. That deer was gone like instantly. It's going to be good meat. Somebody did a great job harvesting that animal, but outside looking in, that might be disturbing to other people. I think though a lot of that could be fixed with just like the algorithm in general. It should most of the
Yeah.
time it's going to show you kind of something in your niche, but that could be bad also, right?
Yeah.
Like I
That's
feel
what I
like
was
we
saying
all
is,
need to work outside of our comfort zone to some degree.
yeah. But I mean, like, how many crime TV shows are out there now, or
Oh yeah,
movies, that shows a whole lot more blood and like
oh
actually
yeah,
saying, and the traveling fisherman said, or in video games. That's true. I mean,
yeah, yeah. That's a
but
good point.
and so I mean, I don't know. I don't want to kind of keep on beating a dead horse on it. I mean, because again, we don't know the origin of why this got started. It would be very interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on it and trying to see,
I would be
because
extremely.
I would hate for it to be some $1 billion company that's wanting to bring some kind of food source into that state. Um, So that would be for me. I think it would be the worst case scenario, to where they know, if I can get this state to do no fishing, no hunting, no farming, they're going to have no options but to go to the grocery store and buy my product. Uh, to me, that would be the worst case scenario.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, I'm just
I'm
rambling.
just kind of reading a little bit about it now. I mean,
That's what I did too.
it's basically. I mean, what I'm getting out of it is
Animal.
it was started by PETA, and what they're wanting to do is try to eliminate cruelty, animal cruelty. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That's
yeah,
what seems like.
well, not PETA. I'm sorry. It was started by animal rights activists, which I mean, it gives the guy's name and everything. But
It's called the Peace Act.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
The
IP
citizen
28.
driven for animal rights. To extend the rights, protect typically given household pets and animals. So basically, extend the rights that we would give to our pets. Again, like I was saying before, outside looking in, people thinking about things from like the perspective of the animals that they own and care for. Which I mean, heck, my dogs are like family members, but I don't think
Yeah.
that extends out. If I had a pet deer, it'd be like a family member too. Like I would
yeah,
never go shoot my
Well,
pet deer or something
I
like that.
really I wouldn't mind having a pet deer. Really.
I wish I
I
could.
mean,
I would totally.
I know certain I know people that's had them, and I mean, heck, they act just like dogs, especially when the owners have dogs. I mean,
Yeah.
they just get out there and play. But that's kind of what I'm getting from it is that they're trying to eliminate the cruelty to animals, but what they're not realizing is the impact it'll have if it were abolished. I mean,
Even
you're talking
putting
about
on a different level of
fisheries.
cruelty
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
man, you're
So
talking
it's
about
like,
the big fisheries out there and
yeah,
the farmland. I mean, man, or the farmers out there, dude, that's huge. That is huge
yeah,
outside of hunting and fishing.
yeah.
Residential.
my thing is I don't understand where. Okay, so the farming and ranching, it doesn't have anything to do with agriculture. It seems like it looks like from raising animals for food, dairy, eggs, and fiber. So I guess that okay. This I gotta say something here. This irritates the fire out of me. Okay, eggs. Okay, if an egg is not fertilized by a rooster, it's never turning into a chicken. We have
Mm-mm.
several hens out there. We get eggs every day. We have several, hen ducks out there. We get eggs every day. Those eggs will never, ever, ever turn into anything.
Yeah,
It is an egg. That's it.
yeah, yeah,
So that is not an act of cruelty in any way, shape, or form to eat an egg. That just I see that all the time. My wife, it cracks her up too, where it's like people think that you can have a chicks without having a rooster. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. It literally cannot. That's biology.
Yeah.
And then like the fiber stuff too, it's like when animal fibers, it can be good for the animal. Like if you don't, the way that animals are bred now, a sheep cannot go years and years and years without being sheared. We've literally bred that into them where they have to be sheared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like maybe once upon a time, however many thousand years ago, they could have got away with it, but we intentionally did this as a species in order to get animal fibers from sheep or from alpaca, and I don't know. It's just like you would have to go backwards so far for it even to be a thing. Otherwise, you would have literally a bunch of sheep just dropping like flies because they would be so overburdened with the weight of wet wool.
Yeah, I was about to say, could you imagine that? I mean,
like that's a little awkward. That would be a little awkward for everybody if they were, like we banned the shearing of sheep and then you're just watching a vast sheep extinction event. I don't know. So it's like we have to.
well, I mean, kind of. I mean,
this stuff,
yeah, you got to meet in the middle. I mean, because to me that's more animal cruelty than going out there and harvesting fish or deer or whatever. Uh, the traveling fisherman says Bill Gates produces synthetic meat based or plant based alternative, and so he's saying that that may have a reasoning behind all that as well.
Well, so, I'm sure it does. I mean,
I eat all kinds of stuff. Like I eat, meat substitutes sometimes just for sheer fact of doing it for health reasons and stuff like that. But it's like I'm not going to ever give up red meat and stuff. And then you'd have to. It's debatable that whole being able to. I'm not even going to speak on this because like I don't remember the exact definition of the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
One of them allows some sorts of animal products in there. One of them doesn't. Okay. But it can be difficult to get the right amount of proper nutrition in that situation. And it can also be very difficult for the average person too, right? Like think about if you say we're in a fantasy land right now and all this went through nationwide tomorrow and nobody was able to do anything about it, or whatever. There would be a whole lot of people that would be in a bad way as far as one, learning how to eat this way, and two, just the getting the right. You have to have a certain kind of body to be able to sustain. There are people that can't sustain that for long periods of time, but a lot of times you have to end up supplementing with something, in order to get there. So it's like that goes into a whole different issue of sustainability. I'm just like trying to look at this from the most global view, top down possible. So it's like I tried to understand where people are coming from on this stuff, but I think you also have to think about, we talk about inclusion for everybody and stuff like that, and it's like you really got to think about everyone together. And if you do make a change like this, how it affects not just we're thinking about it from like an outdoorsman perspective, but think about how that could affect people with lower income areas and stuff like that. Eating vegetarian or vegan is not cheap to do. So
yeah.
Hang on, but you all right, let's talk about the families that can't, or that may be less unfortunate. Like there's programs out there where hunters and fishermen too will take what they catch or harvest to families in need of food.
Yeah.
But because
we don't really have programs here, but people do it all the time. I don't know how many times, like there was a guy out on one of the ledges that I fish. I see out there all the time. Super awesome guy. He always waves me in to come fish. He'll hang out with me and my clients and stuff. And he was out there, keeping 5 bass and some white bass to help feed a family that just asked him, like, hey, we really need some some fish. I mean, it's tough out there right now. We live in
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
tougher time. Sometimes it's difficult to get by, and I can't imagine not being able to harvest the land around you
Mm-hmm.
in order to get over the hump. I mean,
Right.
think
Yeah.
about what happened during the Great Depression and stuff like that. I mean,
Exactly.
it is an essential part, and that's another reason for to have as perfect management practices as we possibly can, because you never know when you're going to be in a pinch. That's why all
Mm-hmm.
these skills that we pass down to our kids are so important. You don't know when the next rough time is going to come, and so these skills that we teach our kids and that we learn ourselves, I think, are very important. Being able to get out there and harvest an animal, being able to field dress an animal. I take it for granted because it's something I grew up doing and stuff like that. But there's a lot of people that wouldn't know what to do, even if they, hit a deer with a car and are starving to death. It's like what to do after that point. And so,
Yeah.
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 um,
Now,
to me, it's all that stuff's really important. Like it's hard for me to see it from another perspective because, again, like I knew plenty of families growing up. I mean, hey, there's been plenty of times, and my wife and I, my little family, where it's like the deer meat's really helped, like having
Mm-hmm.
deer meat through the winter time and stuff. It's like it really saves you on your grocery bill. You think about all the
yeah.
deer steaks. If I was
But and
having,
it's also healthier for you.
yeah, very, very, it's one of the
Yes.
healthiest sources. Uh, it's actually voted. It was kind of interesting. I was watching Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO podcast, and they were talking about like the healthy. He does a lot of health related stuff, and they were talking about
Yeah.
eat a diet. Like, what's the most healthy protein as far as like low fat lean source? And it was just hands down, it was venison.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's
Yep.
like that's literally it has more protein packed in, per gram size, weight, and
Yeah.
it has very low fat in there, which fat's also very important. Let's get that clear too, to
Yeah.
have that in there. But if you want to trim down or anything like that, there's literally nothing better that you could do than to go out there and eat venison and eat fish too. Fish is another
Mm-hmm.
really important source of omega 3s and really good lean source of protein. You get some good fats from the fish oils like that. It can be just phenomenal for your overall health. And so when you get outside of that and you're trying to supplement that in other ways, it becomes more complex.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
do it. We have the knowledge and the technology to do it, but it becomes a more complex system. And that to me is just a recipe to have a lot of people that, think about people that are not having it, they don't have a big salary or anything like that. Maybe it's a single mom that's working 3 jobs to have her 2 kids. How is she going to learn and figure out how to make all this stuff? And if you were trying to go that way, I don't know. It's just
Yeah. Well, I give you another one, like, it never really occurred to me or anything like that, but like one of my daughter-in-laws, she's allergic to pork and beef.
yeah,
So I have given them a lot of, venison
yeah.
because of that. And, and she
The
relies
biggest
on it
experience
very heavily,
with red meat, the really high creatine levels that you get from red meat, which is extremely good for your brain, extremely good for
Yeah.
your musculoskeletal system, your muscle growth and recovery.
Yeah.
Um, and those are very important proteins that she wouldn't have been able to get without that,
What
or
Exactly.
would have been a
what
lot
ab-
more difficult or more expensive to do so.
Yeah.
what about like, kind of talking about especially like the farming wise, and I really didn't realize it until we were talking. I think it was it the Elite Fishing Expo in Chattanooga, and uh, you and your wife had a booth there, and she had her some of her product and stuff that she makes,
Yeah,
and there's so much stuff like that health wise benefits you from bees, and I didn't realize it until like was talking to both of y'all about it, and it was just phenomenal of just the stuff that she had out with, I mean, the lip balm, the your hand stuff that you put on, the
Natural healing
moisturizing.
properties there,
Yeah,
moisturizing without having a tacky or lotiony feel to your skin. I mean,
yeah,
there's so many things that they're already out in nature that we've tried to synthesize and make a man-made version of it. And it's just really hard to beat the dang real thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's an encouragement that I would have for everyone. It's like, if you don't have a desire to keep bees, contact a local beekeeper and have them keep bees on your property, especially if you have a decent sized property. Let them have access to your property, put a hive on there, especially if you have any kind of garden or you do any kind of farming and stuff like that. And for everyone that lives in the suburbs and stuff, stop treating your grass, trying to make your grass look amazing and stuff like that. Let the clover grow, sow winter wheat, sow a cover crop in the winter time and stuff like that. Do things that are going to add back to the soil for one, so you get a better, because it holds less heat, holds a lot more carbon from the atmosphere, which is, whether you believe it or not, there's a lot of issues related to that. And you have all your pollinators. We have major issues. We have displacement that we can see of our animals due to just reckless abandon as far as these people that go in there and develop land developers and stuff like that.
yeah,
So it's major displacement, but what we don't see is just in our own yards. I mean, acres upon acres of grass that doesn't do
Yeah.
anything for us whatsoever, doesn't hold a lot of carbon, doesn't hold water the right way, doesn't do great with erosion control, and does nothing for our pollinators when it comes to your bees, your wasps, and stuff like that. And those are key, absolute pillars of the base of our ecology, you know, locally in our areas
yeah,
and stuff like that. Without that, you have you suffer collapses in a lot of other areas, and when you have those collapses, you can have major issues. And I mean, you see a lot of beekeepers will tell you there's like a crisis there. A lot of the chemicals that we spray around here. Becca, we had a local land developer over here developing property next to us, and we're pretty sure they went and sprayed over there, and bees got into it, and we ended up losing all three hives, like 600 pounds of honey and stuff like that, and
Oh
wax and stuff
my.
like that. So it's those are things that we really have to take into account. And again, as an outdoorsman, I think it's very important to spearhead that kind of thing, because without the
mhm,
bees, like, you don't get as much good plant recruitment. If you don't have plant recruitment and stuff like that, you don't have saplings, you don't have browse for deer, you don't have all these other natives that we have in here. It's like we're sitting here, trying to make everything look like a golf course. And my encouragement would be like, just don't do it. Just
yeah,
let the right things grow there. There's certain things that you take out of there. You don't want mushrooms necessarily out there or anything, but especially lean into your clovers. One, you won't have to mow as much either.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
really
Yeah.
won't. It'll kind of stay down by itself, but lean heavily into that and really help your pollinators out. You'll notice a huge difference in
yeah,
your gardens. But talk to your local beekeepers, guys. Help them out any way that you can. It's a big deal, and it could be a major crisis. There's a lot of truth to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I want to kind of. I mean, we've been on this subject, in which when we were talking earlier, we're like, well, we'll just spend 5-10 minutes talking about it, and we spent roughly about 45, 50 minutes talking about this.
Yeah,
But
I think it's important though. I mean,
It
it
is.
it
It
is
really.
it is.
we've waded through a lot of other avenues though, just besides this one bill. I think it's a lot of positive conversation maybe
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
from that.
and so, well, one before we get off of this, if you're from Oregon and because you probably got more of an inside source on what's going on than what we do. Uh, Leave us a message on here or message us on the podcast or uh,
Yeah.
I put the links to Caleb's all his social media, and send him a message to let him know, like, hey, this is what's really going on and
I
stuff.
would
I
be
mean,
very curious because I always like to hear, the other side of the story, the other
yeah,
perspective, and I would challenge everyone, all my fellow outdoorsmen over there to be very, just be very respectful in the comments. If somebody takes the
yeah,
time to go in there and comment a comment here, even if it's a little bit disrespectful or it rubs you the wrong way, let's try to be really considerate and
yeah. Look
respectful.
at both. You
Sure,
gotta with
our
an open
responses.
mind,
We
right?
can't control what other people say, but we dang near need to control what
Yeah,
we say and how we as outdoorsmen face issues like this head on and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I I mean, we've been on here for an hour and a half, brother, and it just don't really seem that long.
Yeah.
But I do I do want to talk about um, BassQuest Fishing Charters, and because man, I tell you guys, some of the funnest times I've been out on the water, and we have gone and smacked some fish in the face, and just had a blast. And if you are, if I mean, Caleb, you're known for going out and catching some giants,
Yeah.
and so I mean, what you've, I think, what is it, over 20 double digits this year so far?
Yeah, we just we had one yesterday actually that took us over 20. So
Yeah, and so I mean, you're over there just smacking double digits left and right. It seems like, but one thing that I take from all your posts and stuff like that, I mean, everybody's smiling, they're having fun, they're catching. Again, like what was said earlier, like somebody's PB might be a 4 pounder,
yep.
and you're going out there putting them on something that's smashing their PB, and so I mean, and as a captain and a guide, that's got to make you feel great.
Yeah, that really is what it gets me up in the morning. I mean, it is extremely nice. I've been really fortunate to catch a lot of big fish and to have some wild experiences and to have a network of people around me where I can go experience awesome things like that. And it's kind of like when I take my kids out too. It's I would rather see them shoot a deer or catch a fish than do it myself. It's just
Yeah,
there's something about it. You almost get to relive it. You almost get to live vicariously through it. And there's been so many people that have gotten their personal best, fish out of my boat. And like you said, sometimes that's a 5 pounder. Sometimes it's a
yeah,
12 pounder. You never know. But, that's kind of my goal when I get out there. Is just I want people to have a really good time. I want them to learn some things,
Mm-hmm.
and to maybe experience some stuff they never experienced before. In the way that we're catching fish out there, whether it's an artificial trip or a live bait trip, I try to make it pretty unique.
yeah,
The way that we do that with the live bait is really unique, and that's another thing. There's more and more people doing this live bait thing now. Bill Dance has actually got the GBO Nationwide Series tournament. It's a live bait tournament. They got the
yeah,
nationwide for artificial, and now they got it for live bait too. And so I've been pushing that for some people, and it's just a
yeah,
great way to get involved. But I always preface this, the more people I see out there live baiting, it is so important to protect the resource. It's so important to, in my mind, my opinion, let's put it this way, circle hooks, not letting the fish take it too long. I would rather, I say this to my clients all the time, like, well, I missed that one. Maybe I should have let it take it longer. I'm like, I'd rather miss a 10 pounder than kill a 10 pounder.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, and that's why we don't use stinger hooks. Even if you're using a 14-inch shad, you don't use a stinger hook. You use a nose hook, because stinger hook you would probably get that fish a higher, much higher percentage of the time, but you're very likely to hook that fish deep in the gill too.
yeah,
And so to me, it's like the tragic thing is to interact with something. Talking to, I can't remember which biologist I was talking to on Alex Rudd's podcast, but he was saying that a 10-pounder for a bass to grow to 10 pounds, it's about a 1 in 250,000 chance.
Yeah. I think
For a
that's what
fish to get
Stephen Barton was kind of telling us,
yeah,
that
yeah.
that the
So
ratio of it is just
think about how
ungodly. Yeah.
special that is, to interact with, a representation of a bass that gets to that caliber. So I think it's so important when you interact with these big fish, err on the side of missing the fish rather than deep hooking the fish, and then be very intentional. Have all the tools on hand. A good set of pliers, a good set of hook removers. With the long handle that can turn a hook
Yeah.
completely, just in case on the off chance that you hook one deep. Take and pinch your barbs down. You don't need a barb on there. You actually get much better hook penetration on a live bait without a barb. But pinch that thing down on there so that if you have to bring it back out of a fish, you
Just
do
real
the
easy.
minimal damage possible, and then really focus in on it. It's like get really good at it. If you need to remove a hook from a fish, there's no reason almost ever to leave a hook in a fish.
Yeah.
Almost under
Well,
any circumstance, you really have to mess up. You can almost always pull up and turn that hook and get that hook out if you know how to get one out of the gill. But
yeah.
I guess the other thing I would say is one, um, whether you're planning on keeping fish for the day or not, if you're out live baiting or if you're someone who fishes for trophy sized fish, keep watering your live well and keep that live well running. So it's got a very high degree of oxygen in that live well. Keep the water cool in there, keep it circulating. So when you do get that big fish, it can go directly into a very well prepped live well.
Yeah.
And so that's what you do. And my process, my opinion, is like the fish comes out of the net, immediately goes into the live well. In my case, either the extreme bait tank or the live well with the fish lung in there. The fish lung actually connects to the bait tank also. So we're getting that thing, and I call it the fish spa. We want to get him right in there, and then we get the cameras ready, right?
Yeah.
That's when you get your scale out. That's when you get your measuring board out. That's when you get your piece of braid that you're going to cut for the length of the fish and tie for the girth of the fish if you're planning on getting it mounted. Okay, get all that stuff together. The fish comes out. The fish is immediately weighed, immediately measured, and then immediately put back in the well.
Yeah.
All right. And she gets to sit in there for another few seconds. Boom, she comes out. We're going to get a good picture. We're going to get another good picture. We're going to get another good picture. And then maybe a quick release video as that fish is going back. The fish, there's no reason for that giant fish, because you're thinking about a great grandma fish, right?
Yeah.
Like she's way up there. You can't, it's a fragile animal at that point. So, in my opinion, I don't think that fish should ever be in your boat more than 2 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it if you're in a tournament, right? But if you're out fun fishing, which I am all the time, I don't box fish like that, especially in the warmer months and stuff. I don't box them. The only time that you'll ever see me with a 5 fish limit photo is because it all happened in like literally 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're literally
Well,
catching them so fast that you're putting them in the well so you can get another bait on to get right back out in that school.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll have like a glory picture, but I really think it's just, but there's no reason for a glory picture or to take a fish from an area and run it to another area to get another fish to just to get a picture at the end of the day. Especially when you're catching them deep this time of year, if those fish, I'll tell you something, if the fish is out of the water for more than about 90 seconds, there's a good chance if you caught him in past 20, 25 foot that you're going to have to fizz that fish to get it to go back down.
Yeah.
So that's another major incentive, because I really don't like having to fizz them.
Yeah, because you could do more damage
like that.
if you don't know how to do it. I mean, you could do some
It's
damage.
relatively safe if you know how to do it, but
Yeah.
that's still a long puncture that could potentially get infected, could potentially. I do find fish right there where a fizz needle would go. I'll catch fish with sores there sometimes, and I just wonder in my head if it's because it had to be
Well,
fizzed, maybe. I don't know. But just in
and
the back
what's
of my mind, it's like, let's do the best we can with fish that are special like that. The more people that are doing it, live bait is a powerful tool to interact with and catch big fish. And so I think that there's a heightened, if you're out there live bait fishing, there, in my mind, there is a heightened responsibility to be extra careful with the way that
Yeah.
manage the fishery and be a good steward of the fishery. So that's just something I need to make some videos around that and just kind of give my system away and I'm always refining. It's like I want to get as good as I possibly can with fish care, because the whole point of letting that fish go is, in my mind, it's like, well, maybe, some 10-year-old kid will be out there and he'll catch him with a paddle,
Yeah.
2 years from now, and that 13 pounder will be a 16 pounder and he'll be up on the news somewhere. So
Heck yeah.
that's my thought process on that. But just anybody out there, I highly recommend, even if you're an artificial fisherman, getting out there and trying the live bait thing. Come out there with me if you want to. We can go play around with it, and I can teach you some things about it. But you do just make sure that you're really, really conscious of what you're doing out there. That way, it's, again, we want to protect the resource as best we can. We want to make sure it's as good of a fishery as possible for everyone as well.
Yeah. So, well, I don't want to, because I know you got to get up early.
Oh, buddy, I'll be up at 3:30. It's about time for me to pop off of here anyway.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to get you to come back on here sometime soon, and let's plan on doing the map study then.
Absolutely.
And so, because again, with I know that you get up at 3:30 and you're out on the water. I mean, it's still dark when you're out there trying to get live bait and stuff for your clients and stuff like that. So, so I don't want to take up more time than we have to, but I do want to. Can you tell us like because I want to promote you, and I want to promote Becca's products and stuff like
Yeah.
that as well. Can you tell us like how we can?
On there, but so Becca's Backyard. If you look at Becca's Backyard, she's got the Instagram there, but she's also got a website, and you can buy, the lotion bars, the lip balms, and she actually has a actual lotion itself now, which I use a lot. Sometimes the bar is a little bit, it doesn't have the viscosity that I want necessarily. So that's how you can get in contact with her and do that. Now, for me, BassQuestFishingCharters.com, and you can book a charter with me there. You can also book a map study. Like the map studies that we've done on this podcast several times. I do breakdowns of people's individual lakes. So it's basically a one-on-one with me for an hour and a half or so, and I'll break down your lake. Give you all the insight I have and how I would break down the lake, the waypoints that I would go to, how I would approach it and stuff like that in order to target big fish. Basically find the biggest fish on that body of water. And then you could always book a trip with me out there too. Hopefully, coming soon, I'll have some adventure trips too. Out of state where we can go, and it'll be limited. For a couple weeks at a time, but being able to go to places up north like Michigan and down south, Florida, and stuff like that. But
And I'll say this: his wave points are probably going to be 100 times better than Randy Blockett's 25 that you can get.
I don't know about that. I don't know. So one idea that I've got moving forward, and I'm in the process of working on. So hopefully by the time we speak next, hopefully it'll be pretty much live. But I have an idea of doing these map studies that everyone seems to like so much with local professional guides on bodies of water.
Yeah,
If we were talking about Lake Fork, I would want to talk to a really good, reputable guide on Lake Fork, use my process of breaking down the lake and his knowledge to deliver like a really good overall product that way for people. And the idea is to eventually have digital products to where you could, instead of having to buy a one-on-one map study with me for a much lower price, you could buy this digital product that's comes from me and this professional guide who has 25 years of experience on that body of water. because
Yeah.
as a guide, we all get these same questions. It's like you get a call at 7:30 at night, and this guy's like, "Hey, you got any openings tomorrow?" You're like, "No, buddy, I've been booked out for 3 months, man." And then they want to talk to you for an hour on how they're going to approach the date, and I'm fine with talking with people about a lot of that stuff, but it's like it's very important to guard your time as a guide out there and make sure you've got family time and stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
I think this could be a good way to really support a lot of local guides, across the U.S. hopefully,
Yeah.
and also provide a really good service to anglers, especially anglers that are traveling in to go fish a lake from out of state. To have a really good, instead of fishing blind, they'll have a really good starting point and a plan put together without necessarily having to get on the boat with a guide.
Yeah.
There's only so many guide trips I can take, these other guides can take, and there's a lot more people out there wanting the information. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll be something that'll come in. There'll be a website live for that pretty soon. We
Yeah.
can start working on that.
So, Pappy, real quick, you want to tell talk about the website and what we've got on the website?
Yeah. So if you go to our website, decktalk podcast.com, on there we have a gift shop now for some merch. We also have, if you want to just click on there and subscribe to our website, then you would instantly be, well, I don't know, would it, if when we go, you can watch our live from there too,
Yeah.
as well. Now I'm not sure if you'll get a notification. I think you will, but I'm not clear on that just yet. But then we have the Salute to Valor forms that are up, that you can fill out. And guys, we really and highly encourage, if you got a family member, a friend that's been in the military or is currently in the military, and that you would like to give them a shout out. Hey, we got all the information that you would go on there and fill out, and we will give them a shout out, and in return, that person would receive a coin for allowing us to give them a shout out on the podcast. Um, that's about it. But yeah, just go to our website, decktalkpodcast.com, and go check it out, and we hope you enjoy it. I mean, we've spent a lot of time on it. Well, not we, but a friend of ours, should I say?
Yeah. So instead of asking our typical last question to you, Caleb, and because I think you've answered it probably about 5 or 6 times already, I want to ask you summertime artificial baits.
Yeah.
Top 3.
Golly, right now the urchin, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable just the drawing power and how effective that bait is. I don't think it's going to be a very long-lived bite. I don't think it's going to be like Alabama rig where it dominates for several years. It's already starting to see a little bit of you can definitely tell a lot of fish have seen it now, but it's such a powerful tool. Another summertime. Gosh, there's so many. When you're ledge fishing, you usually have 8 or 10 rods on deck, and you're trying to figure out, because any given day it could be one of those rods is going to be exactly what they need in that situation to get fired up. So I'm just going to go with what I like to throw. So I'm going to say spoon, because I love to catch them on a big spoon, and I'm going to say hair jig. Those are going to be my other 2, just because that's to me that's some of the most enjoyable
bites.
To catch them. Yeah, out on ledges in summertime. They're just mean.
Yeah.
I'm going to say one more. I'm going to say nighttime spinnerbait, because if you're summertime fishing and you want to catch big fish and you're not fishing at night, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
Now is it black?
My go-to is a Jewel. I really like it because it's got a double twisted on the arm right there.
Yeah.
And if you take the wire and you wobble it out, it'll create a wobble head similar to some of the ones that are actually custom made that way. But it's a very compact spinnerbait. It's got a really good blade on it. and you never have to worry about the knot sliding up or down or breaking off because of the way it's put together. And when you make
yeah.
it, when you wallow that thing out and you get it to where it wobbles, what it does is it runs the connection freely. So instead of the wire being able to bend back and forth on the lead, which eventually can cause your wire to break off when you're
Yeah.
spinning fishing, it allows it to just run to the connection where it's already turned and crimped the wire itself. So it's much less likely that you're going to do that. It's got a really good, like a 3/0 short shank, really stout hook in it.
Yeah.
So that little jewel, and then the color, it is it's a black, but it's got a June bug, like a flashaboo tied into it with a June bug, like foil on the blade also.
Heck yeah.
And
So,
they obliterate that thing, God.
so guys, thank you for tuning in to almost a 2-hour podcast. It's been one of the longest podcasts that we've had in a while. But I hope you learned something, and I enjoyed the chit chatting, Caleb, and it's always, I always learn something when I talk to you. But guys, next week we're going to crank back up the MLF takeover. So we're going to have another angler from MLF come on, and so we're going to for the next 2 weeks is going to continue the MLF takeover. And so, but guys, we're going to get off here. This fat kid is hungry, and and Caleb's got to get some sleep. So
That's exactly right.
But
it's been fun. Thanks for having me on.
yeah,
Yeah,
so guys,
absolutely.
we will see you next week.